Section 59 of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, translated by Courtney Langdon. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Purgatorio, Canto 25. Purgatory, the seventh ring. Lust. Sensuality punished. Instances of chastity.
The hour was when ascent brooked no delay, because the sun had left the noontime ring to Taurus, as to Scorpio had the night. Therefore, as doth a man who, whatsoe'er appear to him, stops not, but goes his way, if spurred by goading of necessity, so, one before the other, through the gap we entered in, and took the flight of stairs, which by its narrowness parts those who climb. And like the little stork which lifts its wings, because it longs to fly, but ventures not to leave its nest, and lets them droop again, even such was I, with kindled and with quenched desire to ask, when coming to the act of one who starts to speak. Nor, though our pace was fast, did my dear father check himself, but said to me,
"Discharge the bow of speech, which to the arrow-head thou now hast drawn."
With confidence I opened then my mouth, and said, How can one possibly grow lean, where need of nourishment doth not obtain?
"Shouldst thou recall,"
he said,
"how, when the brand was burning, Meleager was consumed, this would not be so difficult for thee. And shouldst thou think how, at your quivering, your image quivers in the looking-glass, that which seems hard to thee would easy seem. But that thou ease thee to thy heart's content, lo, here is Statius. Him I call and beg that he be now a healer of thy wounds."
If I unfold for him the eternal view when in thy presence,
Statius then replied,
be my excuse that I cannot refuse thee.
He then began,
If, son, thy mind shall hear and understand my words, they'll prove a light for thee unto the how which thou dost ask. The perfect blood which by the thirsty veins is never drunk, but stays as doth the food which from the table thou dost take away, gets in the heart a power informative for all the human members, being that which floweth through the veins to form the same. When redigested, it flows down to parts whereof more seemly silence is than speech. Then on another's blood it trickles thence into the natural vessel. There both meet, passive the one, the other active, since perfect the place from which it was distilled. Joining the former, it begins to work, coagulating first, then quickening that which it had formed as matter for itself. The active virtue now become a soul, as of a plant, though so far differing from it, that this is on its way and that arrived. So worketh next, that now it moves and feels like fungi of the sea, then undertakes to organize the powers whose germ it is. That virtue, son, now spreads and now extends, which from the generator's heart derives, where nature on all members is intent. But how from animal it comes to be a child, thou seest not yet, a point so hard it led a wiser man than thou so far astray, that in his teaching from the soul he parted the potential intellect, because he saw no organ it assumed. Open thy mind unto the coming truth, and know that when the brain's organization is in the fetus to perfection brought, the primal mover, glad of such a work of nature, turns toward it, and breathes therein a spirit new and full of powers, which draws into its substance what it active finds therein, and so becomes a single soul, which lives and feels, and on itself reflects. And that the less thou wonder at my words, consider how to wind the suns he turns when joined to juices flowing from the vine. When lachesis hath no more thread, the soul frees itself from the flesh and bears away potentially the human and divine. Mute one and all the other faculties, with memory, intelligence, and will far keener in their action than before. Then, without stopping, of itself it falls in wondrous way to one or other shore. Here first it learns its road. As soon as place has circumscribed it there, the forming virtue raised round it in the same degree and way as when the members were alive it did. And as the air, when fully charged with rain, is by another's rays, which it reflects within itself, adorned with many hues, so here the neighbouring air takes on the shape the soul which settled there, and presses on it, as would a seal, by its own forming power, and afterward, as doth the little flame, which follows fire where'er it changes place, so the new shape accompanies its spirit, which, since it hence takes visibility, is called a shade, and therewith organizes each of the senses up to that of sight. By means of this we speak, by means of this we laugh, and by this means we make the tears and sighs thou mayst have heard upon the mount. As our desires and other passions move us, our shade takes shape accordingly, and this the reason is of what thou wonderest at.
We now had reached the final circling place, and to the right hand having turned our steps, intent we were upon another care. The bank here outwardly shoots forth a flame, while upward from the ledge below a blast is breathed, which drives it back and keeps it off. Hence one by one along the open side we had to walk, while I on one hand feared the fire, and on the other falling down. My leader said to me,
Along this path a tight rein must be kept upon one's eyes, for one might very easily go wrong.
Oh, 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 God of highest clemency.
I then heard sung within the bosom of the fire, whose glowing no less made me wish to turn, and spirits moving through the flame I saw. Hence at their steps I looked, and at mine own, lending my eyes to each from time to time. After the lines with which that hymn concludes, aloud they shouted,
I know not a man.
Then in low tones began the hymn again. They cried again, this ended,
To the woods Diana kept, and thence drove Alighieri, for having known the taste of Venus' poison.
Then they resumed the song, and then proclaimed the names of wives and husbands who were chaste, as virtue and the marriage state enjoin. And this course, I believe, suffices them for all the period during which the fire is burning them, and such the care and diet wherewith the wound is finally sewed up.
End of Purgatorio, Canto 25.